Tonight, the province is taking action to minimize the number of collisions with moose.
Preventing moose collisions. The government announces a plan it hopes will make our highways safer.
This is huge. This is something that my mother had worked for almost 2 full decades.
Coming up on Here and Now.
I just love to have my painting back. Painting's a very personal thing, you know. Artists are emotional, connected people.
A pair of artists want their work back after an inn and spa closed its doors, but kept their artwork inside.
Our targeted substantial completion date is April 30th, 2025.
It's been under construction for about a year, but tonight we're going to get an update on the Fortis Canada Games complex. I'm Jeremy Eaton, and I'll have that story later on.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Jeremy Eaton filling in for Carolyn Stokes. The province is promising $5 million in highway safety measures to help prevent road run-ins with moose. As Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports, advocates say fences and roadside clearing will curb the number of collisions.
Tara Chafe is beaming today.
This is huge. This is something that my mother had worked for almost 2 full decades.
Her mother, Linda Bishop, hit a moose in 2004 and fought for measures to prevent moose vehicle collisions for the rest of her life. Bishop died last December, but Chafe says her mother would be thrilled with today's announcement.
I know my mother's heart and soul was in this. She truly believed that if there was fencing in the area she had her moosing accident, she would not have suffered for the last 20 years of her life.
Bishop was the president of the Save Our People Action Committee, and one of the things Bishop fought for was more fencing like this one in New Brunswick. There's already some in Western Newfoundland, and today the Transportation Minister announced a plan to build 6 kilometers more moose fencing on the Avalon Peninsula. It will be built here on the Trans-Canada Highway east and west of the Salmon-Ear line. And John Abbott says there's more to come.
Based on the data we had on the West Coast, the data we will now collect on this bit of fencing, we will continue then to use that to design and put in place fencing elsewhere.
Abbott says data compiled by the province shows that fencing clearly prevents near misses like this one and collisions like this one. He says the province expects to start work on the fencing announced today very soon.
So the funding was approved in the budget. The tender goes out today. That will be out for a couple of weeks. That will be assessed, and then we'll be able to start construction later on in the summer, early fall. And that shouldn't take that long, a couple of months to get that fencing in place.
Members of SOPAC were here today, and they say there are other parts of the province where moose vehicle collisions are also prevalent. They say the government should consider moose fencing between Gander and Grand Falls, Windsor. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
A pair of men in their 60s were killed in separate highway crashes on Friday. A 63-year-old truck driver was killed in an accident in southwestern Newfoundland early Friday morning. Police say the truck the man was driving left the Trans-Canada Highway near South Branch shortly before 4 a.m. Officers found the man dead inside the tractor-trailer. Meanwhile, a 67-year-old was killed and another person was seriously injured in a motorcycle crash. Police say it happened Friday afternoon on Route 500, well outside of Happy Valley Goose Bay. The motorcycle, which was towing a trailer, left the road, killing the driver and injuring the passenger. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner is involved and the investigations are continuing. WestJet is scrapping its St. John's to Hamilton route less than a month after its first flight. The route was scheduled to continue until mid-October, but the airline now says service will stop as of July 1st. The cancellation is part of WestJet's broader plan to discontinue operations in Hamilton. The company says affected customers will get a refund for the flights. WestJet also announced last week that it would be ending its flights between St. John's and Toronto after October 27th. The Doctor's House Inn and Spa in Greens Harbour was once a bustling enterprise. It has since closed its doors, but some artists who had paintings for sale through the inn have been left to wonder, where is their artwork? Elizabeth Witten has that story.
This used to be a place for special occasions, weddings and weekend getaways. a piece of luxury on the Avalon Peninsula. Now, it doesn't look like much at all.
The grass is overgrown. Litter and debris are strewn around the ground. Today, the place is empty, including its walls that were once decorated with the pieces from local artists. In Bay Bulls, one artist is left wondering, where did his artwork go?
It's so disappointing when you trust somebody. You went into a relationship with somebody who you trusted, who looked like a very successful business.
5 of Wayne Maloney's paintings hung on the walls of the inn for sale on consignment. Now he says they are missing, and inn owner Jerry Byrne knows where they are. One of the missing paintings is the Fairyland Lighthouse. All he has is this photo as a reminder.
I trusted him. I went and visited there and actually posted the art on the walls myself. So I had like a nice prize position right in the front foyer.
Maloney says Byrne arranged for him to pick up his artwork at the inn, but when he got there, he found the place abandoned, and his artwork wasn't there.
The Doctor's House Inn and Spa isn't the only piece of Jerry Byrne's tourism infrastructure that's shuttered. There's also the Dildo Dory Grill here in Dildo.
In Carbonear, Michelle Penny Rowe has been making and selling art as well as teaching others for years. She had 3 paintings on the walls of the Doctor's House Inn.
I just love to have my painting back. Painting's a very personal thing, you know. Artists are emotional, connected people in a lot of cases.
In September 2023, she started messaging Byrne to get her artwork back. No reply.
Will I ever see my art again? I don't know. I hope so. I hope it magically appears. It won't change all of this, though.
Byrne did not respond to CBC requests for comment. But days after CBC interviewed Maloney and Penny Rowe, Jerry Byrne messaged them. He claimed their artwork was accidentally shipped to Halifax, where they're in storage. In the messages, Byrne promised to send their missing pieces back. For now, all the artists can do is wait for their work to come home.
That's why we painted, you know, a record of all the stuff we enjoy and what we want to portray. But does it still exist? Wow, that's the big question. It'll be lovely to find out.
Elizabeth Whitten, CBC News, St. John's.
Next week, ballots go out to elect a new FFAW Unifor president. A businessman from St. George's wants the top job. So does an American PhD student at the Marine Institute and a longtime union representative. The 3 candidates were in the Here and Now studio earlier today. Paula Gale, host of the broadcast, asked for their thoughts on the controversial capelin industry.
And to hear the calls to shut down the fishery, I think it's ludicrous. The fact that these ENGOs have been given seats as stakeholders at the DFO table, it's an embarrassment.
You know, there's 3 levels of sustainability, right? It's environmental, it's economic, and it's social. And in DFO's decision-making, pretty consistently, they're showing they only care about that environmental side, even when the data is not particularly well-founded for capelin.
It's very similar to the science that has been applied to an awful lot of our fisheries and the species. It's not conducive to responsible management of that resource.
Now, that's just a small part of what they had to say. Tomorrow on Here and Now, the broadcast, Paula Gale sits down with the 3 candidates vying to be the head of the FFAW. Now, for a deep dive on the issues that matter most to them and why they want to lead the province's largest private sector union. That's tomorrow night on Here and Now.
A little bit of a wet day for some of us across the island, parts of Labrador as well, enjoying some nicer weather for parts of the Big Land. But we've got a big area, a large area of low pressure, a couple of fronts associated with it. It's sparking, this area of low pressure is actually sparking some lightning as well. But we do have some colder air to the north that is going to sink south as we head through tomorrow for parts of northern Labrador. But then we've got lots more heat moving in as we head through the week. Here's a look at what's going on right now. Those heaviest showers have since moved off. Like I said, some embedded thunderstorms in there as well. West Coast seeing some showers at the moment. If I turn off the radar, you can see that most of the lightning has ended, but there is still a risk, especially as we head into tomorrow for parts of the province as well. As far as those temperatures are concerned, mild, yes, up across Labrador, but that heat that you were dealing with last week is going to move in as we head in midweek. Parts of Central are going to see some of that heat as well. We'll talk all about it in a few minutes.
Thanks a lot, Ashley. Memorial University's Grenfell campus is planning a 2-week network outage to complete further repairs after a cyber attack late last year. The campus in Corner Brook will be shutting down its computer network from June 15th to the 30th. It will allow the university to complete infrastructure work that will make the network more secure and stable. Faculty and staff will be still accessible by email, and summer camps will continue as normal, but individual campus phones will not be functional during the outage. The cyber attack in December shut down classes for a week after the holiday break. Staying in Corner Brook now, a local food delivery system in the city just got some green wheels. The Western NL Food Hub now has an electric van. The online store that sells locally produced food is saving money and the environment. Here now's Colleen Connors stopped by to check it out.
So I'm Richard Butt. I'm the program coordinator with Western NL Food Hub. We're a project of Food First NL. So we connect local food producers with customers here in Western Newfoundland. And right here behind me is our new electric vehicle for really reducing the carbon footprint of moving food around in the region. We do a lot of short haul run type stuff, so we're adding pickup locations. So right now we've got pickup locations from Wiltondale, Pasadena, Corner Brook, Black Duck Siding out towards Stephenville. Plus we're also offering delivery. So having an electric vehicle allows us to do that much cheaper than the gas option. $500–600 a week just to pick up product and bring it to the food hub. Right now we're able to pick up the product, bring it to the food hub and distribute the pickup points and do some delivery, all for under $100 in charging fees. And the distribution of food globally, provincially, I mean, has got a huge carbon footprint. So an electric vehicle for doing short runs around the city and around the region really makes sense. Yeah, so right now, obviously eggs are all year round. Our frozen meats are, pork and beef and lamb and that kind of stuff is year round. We've got some seafood year round. Honey products, coffees, teas, sauces, spices, all that is year round. We're coming into the kind of garden season, so we are seeing a lot more of, your rhubarb and some root veg and a lot of leafy greens starting to come in. Microgreens is another product that we're seeing year round. Yeah, well, that's what it's all about for us, is really making shopping for local food a part of people's regular weekly grocery shopping routine. We don't expect that people are going to come here and get 100% of their groceries, but if you can make shopping local for the groceries that you can get locally, and then go to your other grocery chain stores to get the rest, that's what it's all about. But really our customers are really making a conscious effort to order from us each week and come and picking up and that kind of thing. So we're hoping to make it more and more part of everyone's routine.
For the first time in 7 years, the Filipino community held a cultural heritage event in St. John's. More than 250 Filipinos from across the province came together, all to help people feel at home.
We gather together to celebrate our culture. So there'll be lots of food, music, dancing, and our folks are coming in our traditional costume. We celebrate this during this time of the year in commemoration also of our Independence Day, which is June 12th. We have been in existence since 1967. We celebrated our 50th anniversary in 2017, but after that we stopped celebrating the annual Filipino night until now. So this is the first one after 7 years of hiatus. A lot of us are excited because especially we have a lot more newcomer nowadays, so they have not witnessed any of this. Most of us have seen this few times, but a good number of us have not seen this, so they're excited also. We started our meeting in January, I think, and after a couple of months, we started practices of the performances, and today is the culmination of it. Once we see the smiles in the people after the party, it's all worth it.
Every time we have a Filipino night, we always have a sold out. Years ago, we have difficulty getting performers or volunteers because there's very few of us. But now, we imagine, from my last conversation with the executives, they think that we have at least 5,000 people all over the province and around Metro St. John's, and the surroundings, we have probably around 2,000. Initially, the goal of the people forming the association is just for camaraderie, because, you know, away from home, Filipinos, I guess it's just a typical, when you're away from your home, you tend to gravitate towards each other who has the same culture and who has the same thing. And then it became bigger and bigger, and now it evolved into a culture where they just wanted to share it with a Newfoundlander.
I'm pretty sure most Newfoundlanders will do the same thing also when they are away. So when the newcomers come here and then hear about this event, they're quite excited because now they will experience, at least even for one night, how to feel at home again.
For more than a year now, the City of St. John's has been working on 3 projects just behind the Ac Arena here in St. John's: a state-of-the-art training facility, a 400-meter track, and an artificial turf soccer pitch here behind me. Now, if this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Progress on the project is going really, really well. I would say that we're slightly ahead of schedule on the building. Track-wise, we're ready for asphalt. We're super excited about that. Plants opened last week, so we're just doing some final grading there. And then down on the turf side, we're just doing some fine grading as well, waiting for our turf to arrive at the end of the month. Working with 3 different parcels of land, 3 different landowners, trying to get everything worked out from a land perspective. A lot of differences in elevation between the track and field site and the soccer field and the parking lot area, and then again with the building out front as well. So just trying to tie all of those elements together is a challenge.
So when it arrives later this month, the turf will be put in?
So it arrives in a big carpet, and we just roll it out across the top. The end lines and side lines are all stitched in at the plant, and then your 18-yard box and the circle that goes around at the center half, those will be glued in on site here. I'm super excited. Mon is very deserving of having a turf for the Seahawks on campus. I know as a former Seahawks soccer player, we always had to play at King George V or on that small little field outside the phys ed building. I can't imagine the excitement of the athletes at Mon and knowing that this is going to be their new varsity home for the future. I think it's super exciting. The track project is moving along very, very well. As you see, as we look around, it's very well defined. You can see that the track pattern is there. So we were just waiting for asphalt plants to open, working on our final mix design now and hoping to get asphalt going early in the next week or so. We know we live in a windy city, and there's just a lot of times there's not much that we can really do about that, but we have looked at the wind in great consideration in the design of this layout. So particularly with this track, we have the ability to run events in both directions, which will really help on days when wind is extra windy.
Is there a date in mind when this will all be ready and opened up?
Yeah, absolutely. So our targeted substantial completion date is April 30th, 2025.
Well, we have some showers working their way across the province at the moment. They are going to be pretty heavy at times tonight. We'll talk all about it coming up.
Well, Ashley, it's time to bring you into this conversation here tonight to chat about the weather. Is it going to get better?
It's not too bad. I know it started a bit rainy today for sure, but we do have some warmer temperatures on the way. Certainly heat through parts of Central and parts of Labrador as well. But let's take a look at where we were this afternoon. We did reach about 17 degrees today in St. John's earlier this afternoon. Felt a bit muggy out there as well. We're really seeing temperatures into the teens for most areas, except if you were in onshore flow. So areas like Burgeo, Port Basque, around 11 or 12 degrees today. Cool for Labrador, the north coast anyway. 6 degrees in Nain, very different story from last week, and about 22 degrees in Lab City this afternoon. Temperatures have dropped a little bit, but still pretty decent evening. And we've got some cooler temperatures as well happening down to about 10 degrees in Burgeo at the moment. Now, we do have winds out of the southeast, southeast, but it is cooling things down for Cape Race as well. Sitting at about 11 degrees right now. So taking a look at the satellite radar, we can see that broad area of low pressure turning counterclockwise, but those showers, which were heavy this afternoon at times, and some heavier showers working their way across the Avalon as well. But for now, we do have some showers on the west coast, fairly light, but most of us will be seeing that chance of some showers through the overnight. There is a heavy band set up now, another round of heavy showers moving through the isthmus at this point, and heavier showers are starting to move in across southern areas of the Avalon as well. So we'll watch that for the next couple of hours. Some of these may produce a few rumbles of thunder over the next few hours as well. But the chance of thunderstorms tomorrow will mainly, for tomorrow anyway, will be mainly for Central. And that will be into the afternoon tomorrow. Some pop-up showers will likely happen. So as far as tonight is concerned, like I said, showers will continue for a couple of hours. Then they should taper off, and some of us should actually see some clearing skies, particularly through Central, Northern Peninsula, Southeastern Labrador. You're still hanging on to the chance of shower. Same thing for the north coast of the Big Land through the overnight, and they'll work their way further south tonight as we head into tomorrow morning. Temperatures tonight will sit generally into the 9 to 12 degree range. Northern Peninsula a little bit cooler at about 7. Overall, the winds will be out of the southwest around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Labrador, you're looking at temperatures between 3 and about 8 degrees tonight. And your winds will be out of the northeast, just because of where that area of low pressure is sitting. So into tomorrow, it is going to stay cloudy, at least for the first part of the day, and then some showers for the western portion of the island as well. Now, this is where we could see that risk of some thunderstorms, and even into the afternoon through portions of Central and even into the evening hours. We should see some clearing skies, though, as the day goes on for most of eastern Newfoundland, parts of Central as well. And the trend will be a clearing one up across the Big Land into the evening as well for most, except with the exception of southeastern Labrador, where you will sit in some showers and some cloud cover through the day. As we head into Wednesday morning, generally cloudy for the most part. Temperatures tomorrow, if you are in onshore flow along the south coast, your temperatures will likely stay around 12 degrees. Otherwise, temperatures should reach the low 20s, 21 to 23 degrees for most. Central, same thing. Again, Harbour Breton, you'll hover around 11 degrees. Some drizzle likely in the morning as well. And then we've got temperatures anywhere from 13 to 21 degrees for the southwest and west coast of the island, and then about 9 or 10 degrees for the northern peninsula. That's the story for southeastern portions of Labrador as well. Your temperatures, or rather your winds, will be out of the north, hence these cooler temperatures. And overall, should be sitting in the teens, maybe even low 20s for parts of western Labrador. Now, overall, like I said, your temperatures are you're gonna come back to that heat that you were seeing last week, and I'll break that down for you coming up a little later.
Thanks, Ashley. The province is pledging to improve safety on a dangerous stretch of the TCH along the Salmon line. Now, the budget for brush cutting is being doubled, and protective fencing will be built to keep moose at bay. Tara Chafe's mother, Linda, was seriously injured in an accident back in 2004, and she long advocated for better safety. Chafe says her late mother would be thrilled by today's announcement.
She was driving the Goulds Bypass Road on her way to work one night, or to drop something off to a friend on her way to work. The moose came out of nowhere. There's no lighting on that bypass, and when she hit the moose, her car flipped 3 times. When she landed, she was upside down with the seatbelt wrapped around her neck, choking her. She managed to undo the seatbelt, and the lady that she was grabbed her purse, turned the car off, afraid of igniting anything, and crawled out the back window. The car was upside down on the roof, so she waited on her hands and knees until the ambulance arrived, and doing so actually saved her from being paralyzed for the rest of her life. The doctors had never seen her injury without paralysis before, so it was really quite special that she managed to stay mobile for the rest of her life. Well, semi-mobile, but mobile for the rest of her life and not in a wheelchair.
What do you think she'd say if she were here today?
She would be speechless. She truly would be speechless. There would be a lot of tears, a lot of smiles, a lot of gratitude, and I know that she would be just so, so happy. So happy.
As Stomping Tom Connors once said, it's the best game you can name. And for some Edmonton Oilers fans in St. John's, the team is very close to winning a Stanley Cup. We're going to meet one of those fans coming up. It's been a long time for Edmonton Oilers fans. 2006, in fact, was the last time they were in the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're back here again playing against the Florida Panthers. Game 2 goes tonight. Now, as most of you know, I don't know a lot about everything, but we always find guests who do, and one of them is my buddy Heath O'Neill. Heath, thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Jeremy. Great to see you again. It's been a long 2 years.
It's been a long 2 years. Heath and I chatted 2 years ago when they came close to the finals, but now they're in the finals.
Yes.
And as a diehard Oilers fan, Heath, how are you feeling?
Excited, nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, being an Oilers fan, you always have that bit of anxiety in your stomach when you start a game, decade of darkness, whatnot. But I feel good about this group. You know, you start about where we started. At one point in November, they were 31st in the league, 2-9-1, as I get reminded constantly by my buddies and guys at work. But anyway, since then, the second best record in the league, and they are rolling right now. Love it. Let's keep going.
So they lost game 1. They came up a little bit short, 2-0. So game 2 goes tonight at 9:30 local time. How are you feeling heading in down 1 game to none?
A whole lot better. If someone just looked at the box score the next morning, they see that it was, 2 goals. There was an empty netter one on top of that as well, but 2 legit goals, I guess. Not best, but they outplayed them. They outshot them 2-1. I think shots were like 34-17. I know. Anyway, I feel a whole lot better about it. They got goalied, so to speak. I don't see this happening for another 3 games, 4 games, 5 games. Play the same way. I think we're good.
Many people who live in Newfoundland and Labrador are fans of 2 hockey teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Montreal Canadiens, but you are not. Why are you an Oilers fan? Or how long have you been an Oilers fan?
This might date me a little bit, Jeremy, but 1981, 1982, around then where I started. And it's funny you mentioned those 2 teams you just mentioned, because one of those teams had a lot to do with where I am now. Take you back a long time ago. Now you got 2 games on Hockey Night in Canada. Back then it was just 1 game, like 9 o'clock, 9:30 it started. 80% of the time we got Montreal Canadiens games. So it was a bit too much for me at the time. That was strike 1 right there. I just got oversaturated watching that team. Now, back in the playoffs back then, this young team with Gretzky, Messier, Fior, Lowe, we can go on through all Hall of Famers, played Montreal in the playoffs. They didn't just beat them, they swept them. So as a young kid watching hockey, loving it, playing it, watching it, I started following this team, and it's been a love affair ever since. Sometimes you question, like relationships, you question your relationships and your love affair, but at the same, I stuck with these guys, and no doubts right now, I love it.
Now, you're wearing a hockey jersey right now.
Oh, yes.
And you have 2 on display. One is retro, vintage, and the other is new. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, well, this one is one of the first ones that I ever bought. And this, if you look at it, it's Messier. Like, he was assistant captain at the time. We had Gretz. I call him Gretz. We're close, I wish. But anyway, this is always my favorite player because he was the same way that I would like to be if I played to that level. Like Mark Messier would just as soon go around you, go through you, whatever it took to get to that puck. And of course, what can you say about Connor that hasn't been said already? I got this when I was in Edmonton about 2 years ago, and just cherish. So at some point I would like to get this autograph, because obviously if you're an Oilers fan right now, you got Gretzky, but you got McDavid. They're pretty darn close. The only thing missing is 4 cups for Wayne. None yet. Well, talk to me next week, 2 weeks from now, and we'll continue that discussion.
Now, we mentioned in the intro that the last time that the Oilers have been this close was 2006. It's currently 2024. What were you doing in 2006, and how much has your life changed since the last time they were this close to the Stanley Cup?
I'm not going to tell you what I was doing in 2006, because that's even before I was married. So, that's the year my wife and I we first met, a long time ago, 18 years ago. Since then, we got kids in high school, late junior high, responsibilities, all that kind of stuff. Life's changed dramatically. We'll leave it at that, yeah.
So now they are down 1 game, but that's still a long way. There's still a lot of hockey left to play. What would it mean as a long-suffering fan, for lack of a better word, a long-time fan of the Edmonton Oilers? What would it mean, Heath, if they took this home, beat Florida, and brought the Stanley Cup back to Canada for the first time in more than 30 years?
Vindication, I guess that's the big word. Just showing that I stuck with this team through, thick and thin. We need this more than anyone else, the fans do. Sure, it's great for the players, but we need this as well. Of course, just excitement. The problem is that, as most people know, Draisaitl only has 1 year left on his current contract. Next year, Connor only got 2. There's kind of a push right now. We're kind of feeling that it's closing a little bit. So just to get 1 right now is going to help those discussions a whole lot further going forward.
So as we talked about, the last time that they came this close was 2006. And at that point in my life, I was a lot younger and I was living in South Korea teaching English. We used to hang out at this Canadian-owned bar in downtown Seoul called the Rocky Mountain Tavern. Anyways, it was 2006. It was June, I believe. Anyways, so the guys who owned the bar would get a recording of the Hockey Night in Canada version, and they would get it digitally sent over to South Korea. Now, because there's no real social media back then, there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter, really. There's not really much. You had no way sort of to find out. Nobody really had the internet on their phone as much as we do now. Anyways, point of the story is we used to go to this bar. They would play it during prime time at this Canadian bar. So I remember sitting and watching that series while sitting in South Korea, having a good time with a bunch of other Canadians that I haven't seen since. Some of them I still do see. But anyways, it was a fond memory brought back to me, and something that Heath and I were talking about that could never happen in today's times, because as soon as the game started, you would know right away, either through a text, an email, a post, or a notification. Anyways, that's enough about me. The Oilers face off against the Panthers tonight in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That happens in Sunrise, Florida.
I think what's most entertaining is that you just get to see these little legs and how fast they can move. People are often amazed that this little dog with those little short legs can actually just cruise so fast.
More than 40 dogs showed off their speed this weekend, including this 14-year-old. It was all part of the annual Wiener dog races at the Pet Expo in St. John's. In Mount Pearl, sorry. Look at those doggos go-o. The kitten room at St. John's Humane Services is full right now, but not with kittens. Springtime is usually a busy season for cats and kittens, but right now there are 11 bunnies in need of homes, and they're taking up residence in the room. We hopped on over? Who wrote this? We hopped on over to have a look this afternoon.
They are curious, they're on the go, they're busy bunnies. They love to play, they love enrichment. You know, their diet, you know, a lot of variety in their diet. So we're looking for homes that can really appreciate what it is to have a pet bunny and make them a true part of their home. So we have, the two were from a home where there was unfortunately a situation where they could no longer take care of them. And the other 9 are from an unwanted litter. You know, it's not appropriate to let them outside or release them to the wild. We have bunnies in Newfoundland, but certainly a domesticated bunny is not meant to survive in the wild. And if you do decide to have a bunny, pet bunnies are meant to be indoor pets. So simply having them in an enclosure outside, again, is not appropriate care. And that's the reason why the 9 babies came to us to find homes.
The Terry Fox statue in Ottawa has been moved to a new location. The famous statue has been relocated 1 street south. The plan to move it from across Parliament Hill was announced in 2020. Sparks Street sits along the original route that Fox took during his Marathon of Hope in 1980. He ran for 143 days from St. John's all the way to Ontario to raise money for cancer research. This memorial sculpture was created in 1983 by John Hooper. A new study has found that a plant-based diet can help the environment, but it is also good for human health. The Planetary Health Diet promotes alternative protein sources like nuts and legumes and eating more fruits and vegetables, all while reducing animal-based sources of protein and added sugars. Researchers looked at decades worth of data from more than 200,000 healthcare workers in the United States. Those who followed the diet showed lower risks from several major diseases. 10 years ago, a U.S. brainwave scientist conducted an experiment primarily on Indigenous children from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. The researchers said their technology could make the students smarter and happier and cure them of their traumas. But a critic describes the experiment as bonkers and says she's baffled a Canadian university approved it. The CBC's Jeff Leo has this exclusive investigation.
I begged her to go because I was so excited.
Back in 2014, 12-year-old China Galerno heard about an opportunity at school for her and her mom. They could go on an all-expenses-paid trip to Victoria, BC for a week-long experiment called Brain School. On the first morning, technicians from Biocybernaut Institute began placing electrodes on their heads and told them they would be spending hours inside darkened chambers listening to their own brainwaves. All of this came as a shock to Alma.
We did not know about that until just when it started happening to us.
The Biocybernaut brochure said that this treatment, neurofeedback, could make you happier, increase your IQ, and help you overcome the effects of trauma. James Hart, the American psychologist who runs the program, has a simple pitch.
Change your brainwaves, change your identity, change your reality.
Hart says scientific studies show that neurofeedback can make a difference, but critics say any difference detected is likely due to the placebo effect. Amanda Lavallee is a social work professor from the University of Victoria. She was asked to be part of the research team, but after attending the week-long brain school for herself, she said no.
Because I thought it was whacked, for a simple term. It was bonkers.
The study was reviewed and approved by the Research Ethics Board at the University of Regina. Because of that approval, the Prince Albert School Division agreed to support the study and allowed the brochures to be handed out.
Clearly, a serious mistake was made.
That's Ian Mosby, a medical historian and expert on unethical experimentation on Indigenous people. He reviewed the ethics application for the project, which CBC obtained through a Freedom of Information request. He was shocked to see that the application didn't spell out what would be done to the children.
That is totally unacceptable. There's no description anywhere in the REB application that actually talks about what that is. But it's actually the heart of the experiment.
In an email, the University of Regina says its ethics review board only reviewed a small portion of this study. It did not examine what BioCybernaut planned to do with the children. The university says it's sorry for any harm that may have been caused, and it notes it has since tightened up its ethics review process. As for Alma, China's mom, she says she hopes the focus on this story will lead to accountability. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
Before we bring Ashley back for the forecast, Marine Institute celebrated World Oceans Day over the weekend. The school opened its doors to visitors of all ages to show off some marine debris, endangered species, and touch tanks.
This event here today is a flagship event for us. We hold it annually every year. We usually expect around 2,000 people. Last year, I think we had a little bit over, which was great. And we have about 30 booths that's on display here now. They have all educational and interactive things for people to do. But the real purpose behind this is so people can walk away with knowing a little bit more about the ocean, knowing a little bit more about how we can protect and conserve our ocean. This year's theme is called Planet Ocean, Tides Are Changing. And we've interpreted this theme to be the tides are changing in a positive way for the oceans. So what every one of our booths are highlighting here are the things that they are doing here locally in Newfoundland and Labrador to help protect and conserve the oceans themselves and any new initiatives that they may have.
We're trying to teach them about the importance of protecting our species at risk and just raise awareness about the species that can be found around the island. We're also trying to engage our future ocean users and learners here today. So we have little story booklets about our different species and something that will help bring that message forward again of the importance of protecting our aquatic species. As a member of the general public, the biggest thing is your garbage. So making sure that marine debris doesn't end up in the waterways, especially for our turtle species. They'll think that a plastic bag is a jellyfish and may try to eat that. There's over 2,000 people coming through the doors here today. So it's a window of time to be able to engage with as many people as we can.
The ocean is a common connector, especially in Newfoundland, where it's such an important part. So many people live close to the coastlines. It's a social and economic and cultural importance. And it's really nice to have an event where everyone can come together and appreciate and also plan for the future about what we want to see for the ocean. We're officially launching our new marine wildlife backpack series, which are available for borrow at the public libraries. These backpacks are a kit ready to go to help you get outside and go whale watching and look at seabirds. They have binoculars and a quick visual guide as well as a field guidebook, just to encourage people to go outside and also know what they're looking at. It's really nice to be able to provide educational resources for people so that they're aware of these things and then in turn care about it. Outreach is really important, and yeah, people really like the ocean. I don't blame them, I do too.
Well, Ashley's back for the second weather and long-term forecast. Ashley, I did the weather last week. Yeah, what you do is not easy, except I had terrible foggy weather, and I know that it's gotten better since. I know that is it going to warm up? Am I going to be able to work on my tan this week is what I'm trying to ask.
There's a very good chance you can.
Looking kind of pale these days.
Yeah, the weather's definitely improving. We've got a couple of systems moving through over the next little bit, but for the most part, pretty decent. Let's take a look at what's going on as we head into your Wednesday. This is when so tomorrow's going to be beautiful for the most part, but as we head into Wednesday, the day will see clouds on the increase. And then as we head into the afternoon, that's when the chance of, or really the evening, the chance of some more rain will move in, and that will spread across the province as we head through the night. So temperatures should actually reach the low 20s for most. St. John should reach about 18 degrees. Now, the south coast where you are in onshore flow, your temperatures will likely be only around 12 or 13 degrees. Same thing for the northern peninsula. Then we start to see some of that heat move right back in for parts of Labrador. So 25 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Lab City, 22 in Cartwright. So the start of what will be a couple of days of some heat. Into Wednesday night and Thursday, this is when the majority of the system will move through, and we could be talking about the risk of some thunderstorms as well, so keep that in mind. If you do have any outdoor plans in the morning anyway, by the afternoon and evening, we should start to see that rain move offshore and actually some clearing skies in behind that. Up across Labrador, it's going to be unsettled through the day, the chance of some showers, and again, maybe even some thunderstorms. Going to keep an eye on that one for you as well. But overall, the temperatures are going to dip a little bit on Thursday. Now, About 15 degrees for St. John's. Otherwise, 17 or 18 for central, west coast, even parts of the south coast of the island as well. Northern Peninsula, you should hover around 11 through the day. And again, another warm day for parts of Labrador, 25 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and between 13 and 19 for the coast. Now, the long-range forecast after Thursday, another warm-up. Temperatures in the 20s as we get through Friday and even into Saturday. Friday looks stunning at this point with lots of sunshine. But Saturday, we may see the return of some showers. But overall, there still will be some peaks of sun in the mix there. And overnight lows around 12 or 13 degrees. Now, for those of you that maybe picked up your annuals this weekend, don't plant them yet. We're definitely not out of the woods yet, but gonna wait till that full moon in June. But for central Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperatures warming up as well, 22 to 25 degrees. Same thing for western Newfoundland. Similar forecasts anyway, just some showers moving in by the time we get into Saturday. For Labrador, 27 by Friday, and then cooling down Saturday with some rain moving in. And we'll see it cool down a little earlier in western Labrador, about 18 degrees, 12 by Saturday. This is a beautiful shot of the Salmonier River.
I was going to guess where it was.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
thinking, no, because I was way off.
Way off. Yeah, this is a view from the wilds. A beautiful shot there. Blue skies, everything's starting to green up nicely. Thank you, David, for that shot. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, it's getting green. I did buy some annuals, I think last weekend in the pouring rain, and they're now sitting in my house, patiently waiting.
I planted mine, but they're sitting in the greenhouse. I'm just waiting till I can put them out.
No, I get a little bit. I have a house down. You and I both live downtown. I get a little bit of sun in between a house, so I've had some tulips have grown up, but it's pretty pathetic back there.
That's okay. It'll get nicer.
The weather will get nicer.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm filling in for Peter, who was filling in for Heather, who was filling in for Carolyn. So I'll be back tomorrow. Heather will be here on Wednesday, and then I'm here Thursday and Friday. So get used to this for a couple more days. Anyways, thanks for joining us. Have a good evening.
Good night.